Hello and welcome to Arn. This is Paul Bromwell, and today, as always, on the Four Horsemen Network and One True Sport, I'm joined by the Hall of Famer, the founder of the Four Horsemen, the creator of that Spine Buster. He is the 1A Tag Team Wrestling, our television champion, and he's now my tag team partner. He's Double A. He's Arn Anderson. Arn, it's great to be back with you this week, my friend.
And so no one gets confused, in my other life, I was a brain buster along with Tully Blanchard.
You got that right. And once again this week, wearing some of that brand new merch, Arn and Tully, and on the back it has some of the accolades that you guys won in your day. What do you think of this new piece of merch here, Arn?
Well, it's just, they're soft, they're lightweight, they look good, it's good stuff. I think it's at another level of wrestling merchandise.
It really is. And the benefit of this, I don't know, and you're not going to find a Brainbuster shirt that doesn't have not only the One True Sport logo, but that Horseman logo brand, which Arn, you own exclusively, and we're able to put on anything related to Arn, Tully, Brainbusters, Horseman. So just loving this. Adam Arpin's in the chat. Holy cow, I fell off my chair. Haven't seen him in a while. But real quick, Arn, got to throw it out there. Guys, welcome. We're so glad to have you around the virtual living room. That's what we call it here on the Arn Show. Throw those questions in for us. We're covering April 1995 this week, so we're going to have a lot to jump into. We're going to talk a little bit, though, as we get started here, about some of Arn's appearances, make you aware of those, talk a little bit about Brock and where he's wrestling. Big things are happening for him. But if you have questions, especially around the 1995 April time period for this show, because next time we'll do Ask Arn Anything, that would be awesome. And super chat. Give back to the man, the enforcer who's given to you for so many years and really support us here on the Arn by using that super chat function. That's going to guarantee that your question gets asked. But I'm so happy to have all of you here, Arn. We love having all of our listeners here, and the audience continues to build as we go live here. But man, the merch, it's hot. It's awesome. Getting back to that. I love it. And we're adding stuff every day. And I'm in talks right now with our original manufacturer. You can't see it. It's a little blurry back there, with those Four Horsemen jackets for the fall season. You have one, I have one. We can't put them over enough. They're coming back to our website, and I'm really thrilled about being able to offer that again to our customers.
You want to create a little stir, a little buzz, wear it to your son's high school football game and see what you get.
Especially where you live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I mean, come on. Woo!
Anywhere.
There you go.
Especially the Southeast.
That's for sure, Arn. So we're really excited about that. I haven't even showed you this. I just added a Four Horsemen, almost a soccer style jersey, sports style jersey with the Four Horsemen logo. Real nice big logo on the chest, and it's out there now. They only had one color, which was white, to choose from, but it looks clean. It looks really clean. So we're really excited, as you can tell, about some of the fun stuff. We got Bruiser Brody, Wahoo McDaniels on the way, working with his wife. Really excited about what we're able to do in the merch store. Your old tag partner, Tully, and others, Nikita. And so, guys, check it out. And we're really excited about what we have to offer out there. But before we jump into all things April 1995, Arn, I wanted to talk a little bit about what you have going on with your schedule. And I know you and Brock are doing your thing with AML. But before we get into that, this weekend, as you and I are recording this on the 14th and 15th of September, Saturday and Sunday, you're at a place that you're telling me, Arn, you don't think you've ever been to, have you?
I've been there, but not like when I was a producer or an agent for WWE, but I've never been there as a talent doing a signing. Can you believe it? This will be the first time ever.
Evansville, Indiana, RaptorCon, Saturday. You're both there both days, right? Saturday and Sunday.
Correct. Can't wait.
You're going to have, not only will he have pictures ready to go, autograph for you. He's ready to take pictures with you on autograph. But he also has the comic books with him. He's got his action figure, wrestling figure with him as well. Arn, I know you're going to be loaded and ready to go and ready just to talk to some fans and spend some time with all of them.
We're going to have a wide variety of merch available to anybody that would like it. And you're right. The main thing is I get to shake your hand. Thank you for giving me a career and following me and still making it in 2024 relevant.
I'm going to tell you right now, guess who was the first person who reached out to me? You kind of know I clued you in, but it reached out to me, Miss Amy. He's going to be in Indiana. Oh my goodness, I can drive to that. So don't be surprised if you see some familiar faces out there in Indiana, Arn.
It always puts a smile on my face. And bring your hubby.
There you go. There you go. And by the way, I haven't said this in a few weeks. Don't forget, Arn's going to kill me. He's a fan of Hershey bars with almonds.
Oh, no. Remember we put a hiatus on that.
Oh, did we? Is it still a kibosh? Because we're getting the candy season here soon.
Yeah, well, let's just wait a little bit longer. Because if I got it, I'll eat it. You know, I'm weak.
I do. I know
you're I'm weak.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to move over. Tim Angston, thank you, by the way. We're going to definitely get to your question. Thank you for the super chat. But we're going to show something that's happening Saturday night that all of you can participate in. Arn, this is a big deal. I'm throwing the image up right now. And that is the Andersons versus the Bome Fight Club. Center Stage, Atlanta, 7 o'clock. They can watch it on YouTube, right, Arn?
Absolutely. Just look and you can find it. It's and I'm sure under MLW,
yes,
it'll point you right where you need to be. I'm so proud of what CW and Brock have done so far. They're making a name for themselves. They're becoming really a good team and quickly. So the main thing is, once again, it's like Brock Wrestling in Greensboro. This is Center Stage, Atlanta, where we did Saturday Night TV for years and years and years. And I mean, if those walls could speak, it's unbelievable, the history of WCW and the things, Jim Crockett Promotions, the shows that were produced in that building. I wished I could have made it. Hell, I would have just bought a ticket and sat in the stands if I had to. So cool. But I've got previous things going on, Evansville, but Brock is beside himself. They're so excited.
He gets to wrestle in the building. His dad got to wrestle many a time. Is this kind of a first time type of thing, a building like that you wrestled in so many times that he steps into?
First time being back there. I haven't been there since, the company was absorbed. So,
man, that's so special. I'm so happy for him. Guys, we'll throw it on the screen one more time for the details. Again, you can turn your notifications on YouTube on the MLW channel, and it'll notify you just in time for MLW Fightland. I'm sure the whole card will be excellent, but you're definitely going to get to see CW and Brock together and see them do their thing. And really proud of what Brock is doing with his career. If you're a fan of the show, you've been following along with us as we cover it here. And who knows, I mentioned the merch store. Who knows when we might have some Brock Anderson merch too for you here and at the One True Sport. What do you think about that, Arn?
A lot of exciting things happening. I know Brock he'll want to sit in and help design it.
We'll do that.
And pretty sharp young man. Bobby Fish has been in contact with CW and Brock, and they've had a nice conversation, and possibly some other people floating around that, there's strength in numbers. I've always said that. So things are heating up pretty quickly, I think.
Man, it's so exciting. And as we're talking about MLW, one more show we'll hit on for all of you before we jump into the topic this week. And that's another company, Arn, that you two are love working with, and that's AML. And Eden, North Carolina, September 28th, that evening in North Carolina, he and CW will be on the card. You'll be there as well. But again, if you're in the North Carolina area, if you can make it on September 28th, it's a Saturday. So get a hotel room, spend the night, make a nice weekend, get some dinner before and go and see Arn and Brock. You're going to be there in Eden.
And again, I'm just a big fan. I almost get giddy first time in Eden. Can you believe it? I've never been in Eden before, wrestling or otherwise. So,
what kind of a drive is that for you, Arn, from where you're at?
Doesn't matter. It's in the state of North Carolina.
That's all that matters to you.
I can drive that.
Yeah. No airline needed. That's Arn's line right now at this point of his career.
I love up and back. That's my favorite quote, up and back.
Up and back. I like it. Awesome. Well, guys, check it out. Support all things Anderson, whether it's Arn, Brock, and CW. CW, I just saw, just got married. So congratulations and shout out to him and his bride. And I wish them definitely the best. I've seen him work before. I've been to WrestleCade many a time and see CW Anderson wrestle, even back in the day, obviously with ECW. But I think it's just so cool what he's able to do now with Brock.
Let me offer my, congratulations to him and the missus. I'm very happy for them. Class act, you did good, kiddo. And hopefully their nuptials will be everything they want them to be. She's part of the family now.
Yeah, there you go. Well said. So there you are. We're going to, and I have one question that I'm going to ask now because it has pertinent to what we just talked about. And then I'll get to our other super chats. And it's from none other than a longtime friend of the show, Darren Staley. Darren said, Arn, should indie circuits lean into live streaming like the YouTube match, like a mini pay-per-view? I mean, it's so convenient for the rest of us that can't make these cards to be able to watch live on YouTube.
And if that's the case, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Whatever is fan friendly, that's our livelihood. And making it easy and available for everybody to see it. If they don't have a television show, some of these smaller independent promotions, it doesn't mean they're not have a good quality product. Make it easy to see, inexpensive, and easy to get to. I'll vote for that.
Yeah, for sure. And gets attention on their product, so you can't lose. And so I'm glad you were able to work it out and watch everything on YouTube there, Arn. So let's get into it, because I know I see some questions already for April 1995, and I thank you all for that. And I want to it's been a while because we did a couple asks, right? Ask Arn Anything. We also had the tribute show that we did to Shorty, to Kevin Sullivan, our dear friend. And so it's been a little while since we've been talking about your career as we've been walking through it. So to catch everyone up, we had talked about Uncensored 1995 the last time we were together. And as you can recall, that Dustin Rhodes, Barry Darsow match where things got a little, I guess, for WCW out of hand. They both ended up getting fired afterwards. But it was also that night that you faced Johnny B. Bad in that boxer versus wrestler match. What a heck of a time, Arn, it was for WCW. Any kind of thoughts? You talked about that. Did you ever think you'd end up in a boxing ring with anybody in a wrestling card? Did you ever envision that for yourself in your career?
It was not something that I had at the front of my prefrontal lobe and was wishing to do.
Right.
But, it wasn't that big of a stretch. We're in the entertainment business. We're entertainers. That to me just gave me, and I always think story. If I can just tell a story. Well, the story was the boxer that would knock your head off was actually at a disadvantage because his opponent, who equally would knock your head off, not as efficiently as a Golden Gloves boxer, but I didn't have on gloves. So I had the advantage. I was bare knuckling and he had on boxing gloves, even though that was one of his fortes. The guy was a Golden Glove boxing champion. You know that.
Oh, I know. I've done a little bit of research on him. Well, I mean, just watching as a fan, Jim Ross made sure we knew all that good stuff. You didn't get to hear it. You actually were out there performing, but Jim Ross was always the one telling us where they went to college, all their credentials, really making them relevant, making them real, which was what I always thought was cool. That was the difference with his style of play-by-play. He always made sure that you knew their background from a sports perspective, and always shared the credentials. But he always shared that about Mark Merrow, or Johnny B. Bad at this point.
That's the story.
Yeah.
It goes far beyond it just being a boxer versus wrestler. It's like, okay, why is he the boxer? Well, because prior to being a wrestler, that's what he was. That all helps fill in the blanks.
It does for sure. And so, Arn, that was your matchup. So we'll move into, again, what we're talking about here with April. And there's a lot of going on with the Topline creative and Ric Flair, because there's a lot of buzz about his reinstatement. His official return to the ring was delayed. And some folks have always asked the question, Arn, why was it delayed? What was going on? And if you do some research on it, you'll find out there was things with legal. Remember, he left WWE in 1993, but it wasn't the easiest of situations as far as him walking away from. There was some things behind the scenes legally that he had to honor in terms of when he was actually going to wrestle next and things like that. He still wanted to get himself back in good health, and fitness, had to be was part of it, obviously. But story, the creative, the story and the creative had to be right. And so, when you put it all together, it had to be strategic and make sure that it was impactful and it was successful as possible. But what WCW decided to do was kind of have him come back as a manager during this time. What did you think about that? I mean, obviously, Flair on your television in whatever role it should be, wrestler, manager, to me, it would be a good thing. Were you a fan of Flair at this time as the manager role?
I think him in any capacity on the TV show was like a neon sign that, he's going to get involved physically, probably sooner than later. And just having his face back on TV, I'm sure when he left WWF, that there was a length of time before he could wrestle on TV. Now, he could probably be seen on TV, but he couldn't wrestle on TV. I'm sure that was their way of protecting themselves.
I'm going to throw it out to our live audience, which, by the way, the number continues to grow. What do you guys think? CW's watching, by the way. I interrupt this recall. He says, thank you, Arn and Paul from Brittany and I. We're watching here on our honeymoon at Magic Kingdom.
You're a class act, kiddo, and you have a lovely bride. Congratulations.
So happy for both of you. Very cool. The fact that you're watching us on your honeymoon. Wow. But we hope that you're having a magical time in the magical kingdom, and congratulations just from the pictures that are online. If you're not following them on social media, give them a follow as well. You can find CW and Brittany and follow them there. But congratulations, and so cool for you taking the time to check out the show. We appreciate it.
And hey, this weekend, this Saturday, center stage, I don't have to tell you what that means. I know you're chomping at the bit. It is a moment in time. It's not the biggest arenas. It's not the most famous arenas, but if you're a WCW fan going all the way back to Jim Crockett Promotions, it's a big deal walking those hollowed steps backstage at center stage. So congratulations, and hey, make our presence known, my man. That's Anderson country.
Well said. Well said from the enforcer. You guys have a blast. Thank you for checking out the show. We appreciate it. We're going to transition back to what we're talking about here, as hard as that is. Darren Staley says, bottom line, guys, Flair puts butts in seats in any capacity, period. And I don't know that you could say it any better than that.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct. And I agree with him. Because he's not going to just walk out there in a nice suit, keep his mouth shut, and observe what's going on. He's going to make his presence known within whatever guidelines he's given.
Well, it's been a while since you were in a main event role, and I know you've always kind of been that sidekick to Rick. Did you have any reservations with him coming back again, just being paired once again with the Nature Boy, or, hey, just another day at the office for you?
I asked Ed McMahon if he mind being second fiddle to Johnny Carson. See what he tells you.
Yes.
I'm just fine with that. Thank you.
Let's talk about the big man. I've been looking forward to talking to this with you. For those that follow us on social media, you've seen the graphic, and the picture is you, Flair, and Vader together. You faced him in late 1993, and now you're paired together against Hogan, Savage, and the makeshift Ultimate Warrior and the Renegade. How did you feel, if you can recall back in these days, thinking, hey, you're going to be with Vader and Flair now as a trio?
I'd rather have Vader on my team than be standing across the ring from him.
No doubt.
It was no picnic, pal. He would beat the ever-loving crap out of you. It's not like you could just out-muscle him and overwhelm him. I mean, he was 400 maybe 50 pounds at one point. Does that sound right?
Oh, that sounds about right. You could go higher than that, and I would agree with you. He was a beast. He could do things that no man his size could do. You're talking moonsaults, Arn. We've covered it here on the show, covering some of his matches. An incredible athlete. He did have a stellar career in Japan as a tag team wrestlers. And, you know, you and I both have heard stories about his tag matches. It's like a collision, two freight trains. Did you and Vader, when you worked together as a tag team, did you guys work seamlessly, or was it like you trying to steer a boulder through a china shop?
I just tried to live through it.
Yeah.
My goal of going to the ring was just live through this. Tomorrow, everything will feel a lot different. Right now, if anybody that is walking to the ring to fight Vader, if they don't tell you they're anxious, they're lying.
Did you ever feel like you were tagging with a tank? And did you ever worry that he might accidentally steamroll you during the match? I mean, Arn, listen, did you find yourself ducking out of the way more often than you'd like to admit?
I mean, I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I would rather be his partner than his opponent, just point blank. There's no, you call it whatever you want, cowardice, whatever, common sense, whatever you want to label it as. That dude was bad news, I'm telling you.
Darren Staley, Arn versus Vader. Or I'm sorry, Andre versus Vader. Who wins and who dies?
Andre was in his youth. Nobody could do anything to Andre that he didn't want him to. But at the very end, his back was so bad, you know, it just depends on what time frame you want to put on it.
Yeah.
But the giant, I can't stress this enough. There was only one giant in this business, a true giant, and that was Andre.
What do you, let's talk a little bit more about Vader here. Now he's doing a three-way tag team. Do you think WCW at this point in his career, he was the champion, obviously we've covered it, the early 90s, Sting and that program, but do you think they could have gotten more out of him with Hogan once Hogan arrived? Was there more on the bone that you could have used that big man? Because it was always in the 80s. It was always Hogan versus the big man that drove, you know, the WWF for a while. Big Boss Man, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant. Obviously, there were others like the Warrior and things like that, but Vince always loved to have those big guys with him. I feel like WCW could have done a little bit more with Vader and Hogan.
Makes you wonder if maybe Paul wasn't quite up to the task he would have been earlier physically. You know, who volunteers to fight Vader when he's kind of in his prime, right?
Sure.
Hogan, I'm sure, was beat up at that point. I mean, there's money there, of course. Absolutely. Is that a money match? Of course it is. But I don't think, you know, he was stepping up saying, yeah, give me Vader for a 6-month program.
Not only that, I mean, it's well established. Vader's a stiff guy to work with too. I'm not sure how much Hogan wants to have those lunch boxes hitting himself in the head and the turnbuckles every other week or whatever the case is.
Well, you know, risking the sounding cavalier, that's part of the business. And he lit me up. All I could do is do my best to, you know, I stuck him with a spine buster or two that I lucked out on. I don't think he ever saw that coming. I didn't think he thought it was possible. So I wasn't going to stand up toe-to-toe and fist fight the guy. You got to get an advantage when you're outmatched. And with him, pretty much everybody was outmatched.
Before we get into Alex Wright, yes, we're going to Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright next, and we're going to shift gears there. I want to make sure we get to some of our super chat questions. And Tim Angston, who's with us every time we go live. Tim, thank you so much for being here. He said, was the plan at the time to drop the TV title to Renegade in June, or when was that decision made? Arn, I know we're going a long time back here, a lot of cobwebs over the years. Do you recall any of that planning with the TV title and Renegade?
Somebody felt that he needed a shot in the arm and that title would somehow do that. But you got to look at what the TV title was different from every other title, because for it to be its most effective, you had to have a heel champion that was out there that could give you 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever the case would be, And the last 2 or 3 minutes of that was you were sure that guy was going to get beat. And he would just get on his bicycle, whoever it was, me, Tully, Steve Regal, Steve Austin, whoever it was, and those last 2 or 3 minutes of the match, man, you'd be on your roller skates just trying to survive it. Can't do that if you're a baby face and you're the only attack. You know, that's not going to work, that psychology. So it might not have been the right title for him. I mean, I was fine with whatever they wanted to do. He was very green at that time. So it was a challenge.
Speaking of very green, Arn, are you a fan of the Spider-Man movies at all?
No.
So you don't know who the Green Goblin is at all?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. We have a super chat from Albert, and he says, "Hey, Arn, did you see the spine buster like move the Green Goblin did to Spider-Man and Spider-Man No Way Home? I think William Dafoe did a good job."
William Dafoe stole my move too?
I guess there's no way to trademark a wrestling move.
No,
you can't do that. Huh?
No. It's, you know, I just look at it as I'd have to see it to see. Was it kind of spine busterish?
I'm gonna need to find a clip of it for you, or Albert, if you have it, send it to us on social so I can show it to Arn. Would love to see what you have.
Love to see that.
Yeah. All right, one more, and then we'll jump into Wonder Kid, and that is from Angry Duckling Institution, and he has a picture of Chucky. You know Chucky, the horror film?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous. My dad used to work with Kirby Puckett's dad, and they gave me a pic of you and the Four Horsemen with Kirby Puckett, black shirt and cap. Kirby's dad, navy blue shirt, white cap, and another guy, purple plaid shirt. Do you remember meeting Kirby Puckett back in the day?
Certainly do.
Nice.
You know, I'm a sports fan, and Kirby Puckett at that time, around that era, was a hell of a baseball player.
Oh,
and what a nice guy, and a huge wrestling fan. So, I mean, that's one of the things that when I look back at my career that I can say that I've been rewarded by meeting some quality guys, and most of them being athletes, some performers, you know, and different, you know, actors and different stuff, but mostly athletes are marks for each other. You know, I can't hit a curveball, or I'd be playing baseball for 42 years because I love it.
sure.
Love it, you know, but I can't hit a curveball. So, yeah, what a nice guy. And every time we would go to Minnesota, we'd get him some tickets, and if he wanted to bring his family and whoever, but really super nice human being.
Amy, Arn said he's going to be at RaptorCon Saturday and Sunday. He didn't give specific times, so don't worry that you missed it at the top of the show.
Probably starting about 10.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, I want to hear in the chat, and super chat's the best way. Wink, wink. I want to hear your thoughts on Alex Wright, because that's where we're going next. The guy with the dance moves. Arn, let's talk about your feud with Alex Wright for the TV title. Talk to us about how you felt working with Alex, especially given his background. There was a little bit of a language barrier. What was it like working with Alex Wright?
He spoke perfect English.
Okay.
That was not an issue. His dad, I believe, was a wrestler. I think Alex was a second generation, if I'm not correct.
Sure. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Which means he had a respect for the business. And, you know, he was a young guy, handsome kid, had a lot of skills, but he's also coming into a foreign language, into a foreign country, and with a different style than probably everybody else had at the time. And he was young. I mean, would he have been 21, maybe?
He was real young to your
when he
point.
debuted. Yeah. So that's got to be tough, you know, moving from one country to the next. The style is different over here. He had been wrestling, I think, exclusively in Germany prior to coming to WCW, and a nice kid.
Eddie, I'm going to guess from your comment that Steve Wright was Alex Wright's father.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Tim Angston says Arn elevated Alex and made him a better performer. So that was very kind of you, Tim. Ryan Nodal says Alex Wright was very entertaining and also a good worker. He says that he just needed a gimmick that was hard to shake. CG, our buddy Charlie, says, I think Alex Wright was not used to his potential. I think he could have been a great upper card talent, maybe even a run for the world title if he didn't win. Do you think that he could have been a world title in your estimation kind of guy, Arn?
That might be a little ambitious, but I respect your opinion. You must have been a big fan, and not to say that I'm right or wrong. I think he would have, you got to be very careful with wrestling fans, and I think everybody that's listening right now will agree with me on this. Fans want you to earn everything that you get in this business. They don't want just a push handed to you. Here, first day on the job, you're going to win this championship. Wrestling fans like to see, like any other business, earn your way. And I think if you would have pushed him too hard at his age, and he had that, dimples. I mean, go back and look at him. The kid had dimples you could stick your thumb in. He looked like a baby. But he was good, solid. He was a good, solid wrestler.
Right. He had those baby face characteristics of a Ricky Morton. Those dimples. Sure,
I wouldn't have went there. Ricky Morton is something totally different.
Well, the teeny boppers love Ricky. I'm sure the teeny boppers loved Alex and his dimples.
I don't know that Alex could have got all the grannies in the crowd to revolt and have a riot because Alex was getting beat up.
That's true. Ricky only had that talent.
I got the indoor record for grandmothers kicking the shit out of me because Ricky Morton caused it.
Oh my God. You bring up something that had my wheels spinning a little bit because it's interesting. I saw, Ricochet, he left WWE, he goes to AEW, and the thought online was, why? He's just going to be a mid-carder in AEW. Why would someone make a move like that? He could have been so much more, not that he would have been a champion necessarily, a world champion in WWE, who's to know, but why would someone move from the big company to another company? And I saw an argument that said, listen, unfortunately or fortunately, however you view it, in today's world, it's not necessarily I want to go to the company that's going to make me world champion. That's not always the first lens that people view. Sometimes is hey, what's my work schedule look like? How much is my contract? Will I have opportunities to work for other companies outside of the main company? Right. So there's like a lot of different things I feel like in today's world that athletes, wrestlers are considering maybe differently than they did back in your era where it was all about the push to the top. Am I right in that kind of viewpoint, or what are your thoughts on that, Arn?
I can't say it any better. As a talent, virtually all of them that are making a big move from one company to the next, and they have been in a good position with one, and they're going to plan on being in a good position with this new company coming in. All those things that you just said are what goes through their mind. And sometimes it's just, hey, I want to work less days. Sometimes that's all it is.
Or I want to work with my old friends I used to work with, plus the money, and they're looking at all these things, right?
Yeah, it's all goes into the thought process, and you just never know what the deciding factor is.
It's very different than the old school approach of, hey, the champion makes all the money, traveling around and you getting that world title shot is the premier position that I need to get to all the time. This is it's a different business in that way nowadays.
Maybe there's guys that you missed along the way with the other company that are now working for the other company.
Sure.
That you've always thought about, man, I'd love to work with that guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's your only option.
Yeah. And I think there's some of that too. So it just got me thinking about that when you were talking. Let's talk a little bit more about Alex Wright, guys. I see some super chats. I promise I'll come over to them. Ric Flair is credited with discovering Alex Wright. What do you think Rick saw in him? Was it, hey, he's got it, the moves, the charisma? Did Rick just need a dance partner for his next routine? What do you think Rick saw in Alex?
Probably he looked in terms of what kind of match he could have with him. He wasn't necessarily thinking how Alex would fit in with the rest of the crew. Rick, I'm sure, looked at every talent as either opponent or a partner. Go back to when he took me out of, Pensacola when I was there. He was booking me to bring me in as not an opponent. He saw the Anderson thing. And he saw by bringing me in that he could do something with the Anderson name and immediately have, a little shot in the ass coming in the door. I think he looked at Alex and said, I can have a hell of a match with this kid.
So creative, I'm assuming, comes in, Arn, and says, hey, we want to have you and Alex mix it up. Maybe they're looking at you again, as so many other wrestlers that we've outlined going through your career, is, hey, almost like you did with Dustin, some others, Marcus Bagwell, others. It's take them under your wing and let's develop them a little bit, and we're going to give you a program with them. Do you think that you can recall? Was that the?
I got no problem being the setup guy.
Yeah,
because it would always put you in a position to be wrestling the guy that was going to be wrestling Sting next, or Lex next, or Rick next. For as far as that goes, it was like. I was the setup guy who got the guy ready for the big stars. And I was fine with that.
Yeah. And sometimes at everybody, even all the stars, at some point in your career, you play that role. If you've been in the business with and have longevity, we see Jericho do it now. We see, I know I said many people, but you do see that with talent that's been in the business for a long time. He's doing it with Hook. I'm just going to call it the first one that came to my mind. It happens in the WWE too, where you see guys that have been in the business for a while that kind of take on that role of mentorship in that way.
Well, and I think that is part of earning your way along. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about earlier. And if you see a young talent out there that has good attitude, has an aptitude, as well as that great attitude, and he works hard and he does all the right things to get better, you want to help that guy along, because all that does is strengthen your company.
Arn, yeah, no, well, so go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I just, everybody can't be in the main event. You got a lot of matches that have to fill a card up and make it interesting 2.5 hour viewing experience besides just the main event. And it helps having talent that can go out and tell a story and perform.
Arn, we're going to do 2 more super chats here before we jump into Collision in Korea, because that also went down. Mike Parker. Mike, thank you so much for being here. He jumps in. He says, I feel like the NWA WCW TV title was similar to the Intercontinental title for the WWF, in that they were showcased who the best champions and who could really go for the company. Arn, did you have a similar sentiment? I mean, think about the Intercontinental champs of the day, of the Bret Harts and the Mr. Perfects, and and then the TV title on the side. He's drawing the comparison there. What do you think?
He's right on. 100%. It was basically the same goal, and along the the Intercontinental title, the World TV title. I mean, you go back and look at who had the TV title, and the Blanchards and Steven Regal, and
Dusty was TV title back in the Crockett days. Everybody, yeah.
One run with Dusty Rhodes being the TV champion, and then that went to another level.
Sure.
Yeah. Blanchard was a great TV champion.
For sure. We have one more super chat that I'll get to before we jump over to Collision in Korea, and that's from our buddy David Van Boglen. And David says, hey, you guys, just letting Arn know the knee surgery went great. I'm already off crutches. I have the next back surgery coming up soon. Just want to thank you for your kind words at the last Q&A. And that was with our traveling champions that we did last month, Arn. So great to hear that.
Great, man. I'm glad you're doing better. Just do your rehab and do what the doctors tell you. I know it's a pain in the ass, but they know their stuff, my man. Glad you're doing better.
Yeah. So glad to hear that, David. You deal with more than many of us could ever imagine, and you have such a sweet spirit. So we're so thankful to hear that from you. Let's talk a little bit about Collision in Korea. Here we go. It was April 28th and 29th, wrapping up the month. An enormous event, huge attendance, Arn, political implications. Can you share why you weren't part of the show. Do you remember why? Korea.
Lack of interest, maybe. I don't know.
They didn't. The Koreans didn't want to see Arn Anderson.
No, I think there was
lack of interest on your side.
On my part.
Okay, I got you.
You know, that was a communist country. You know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do.
There was guys up on the hallways, soldiers walking the hallways that the boys were staying on with machine guns, patrolling. I kind of figured it was going to be a iffy situation, and plus the travel was absolutely brutal. They kind of, I don't know if the decision was made between WCW officials and whoever was over there, probably Inoki, right?
Yeah.
It would have been Inoki. If they decided,
yeah, Inoki, yep.
Maybe Inoki, because he did use a lot of the American boys in his company, that maybe he wanted to get them featured, and I didn't fit in that. You know, you're talking Scott Norton, the Steiners.
Oh yeah.
You know, those guys, Sting, whoever it was they used, Flair. You know, I wasn't in that upper crust deal. I don't think it was a negative or a slight to me, but
sure,
they wanted to, you know, this is a big show in a communist country, first time ever. They probably wanted to get their guys another shot in the arm.
No, Yambag Jones. Elegante was not on the card. So don't even go there.
Oh, I thought we were
Yambag, that shit disturber, Arn. He's here.
You did it again.
Let's talk about, you said his name, so I'm going to ask Antonio Inoki. Have you ever had any dealings, or did you ever work with Antonio Inoki at any capacity?
No, I don't know that I ever had a conversation with him.
Okay.
Because when you would go over there and work for his company, you were dealing with underlings that spoke English, and mostly it was a referee or somebody that you would do all your communicating with. Sometimes you would go a tour for a week or two over there, and you wouldn't even see Inoki. He was there, but you just didn't see him.
Guys, if you have, guys or girls, if you have questions at all about this event or anything you want to ask, check in. We're at about the 45-minute mark, and we'll have some time for some more questions as we start to wrap up this topic. I want to talk about Scott Norton, though, here, Arn, because, listen, when you're that strong, even the dumbbells get a bit intimidated. Here he is. He's confined to the room, fearing for his safety during the Collision in Korea event. Sounds like something out of a spy movie. Were you aware of this, or is there any stories that you heard from this time? I think they documented a little bit on, they did the whole Collision in Korea deal on Vice TV. What'd you think of, and what did you hear about this?
Well, I just think that you couldn't raise your voice. You were supposed to be on your best behavior. Like I said, you know, they probably had all the boys on one floor so they could monitor them. But you walk out of your room to go get a bucket of ice, or maybe to try to head downstairs to get some food or something, and you got guys side-eyeing you with a friggin' machine gun. And,
no way,
you know, the boys throughout history, like going to Japan, have tended to drink too much, raise too much hell, do things in a free country that you cannot get away with in a communist country. And to think somebody could have gotten shot, it would have not shocked me whatsoever. If one of the boys had tried to grab one of those cats with a machine gun and sling him down the hall, could have got very ugly. So I didn't push to go. I just kind of kept my mouth shut and stayed in the shadows.
Do you remember when you came back, did Flair have anything to say about the trip or anything positive about the government, or
Well, yeah, you got a taste of not being free.
Yeah,
you know, everybody said, hey, we live in a free country. What we just came back from is not a free country. There's nothing about it free. You are governed, you are monitored. Every single thing about your every move is watched. And, you know, never having been in that situation, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't like it.
Arn, no doubt about it. That is going to wrap us up. But before we get out of here, we have some questions that I want to talk to you about outside of April. We have some questions about the man who we just talked about, Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright. And that was the Berlin gimmick from Bobby Lamar. He says, what did you think of the Berlin gimmick? Arn, do you remember that? I personally think the Euro dance gimmick worked better. But remember when they tried to turn him into Berlin? And what did you think of that one?
Berlin was a Nazi.
Yeah.
What do you think they thought of Turner?
They were trying to bury that guy.
And the executives. It didn't last a week or two, did it?
No, I mean, it was not. No.
It was like he had his sidekick, the big blonde-haired kid. What was his name?
I forget.
Good worker, but he had the look. Alex completely changed his look with the hairdo and the black.
Yeah, the black. Yeah.
Stormtrooper gimmick. He was a Nazi. Being a Nazi is never, nor should it ever.
It was the wall, Eddie Prather.
The wall, yes.
And Brian Haremza, thank you.
Yes. It will never be okay. It has never been okay. In the future, it will never be okay to be a Nazi.
No.
And it came across. I remember there was a flood of really anti-Semitic sentiment about that character.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe should have been, maybe it should have been in some way, somehow, if you could have tested the waters before putting them on TV. I don't know how you would have, but.
Ryan Nodal says, Eric Bischoff says it best. When Alex had a gimmick that was difficult to shake, it was tough for the fans to accept any new gimmick. But then they go, he's so well known for the dance and the pelvic thrust. I'm not going to do the dance for us, but he was so well known for that and the music. By the way, he's going to be on that video game, which I'm going to promote here at the end. They announced his being a character, and they licensed the music for the video game that you and Tully and Magnum and others are going to be on. That was him. So just trying to do that, it just didn't work.
It was oranges and apples, those two characters.
Yeah. Andrew Hermes, our research guy, let us know that the wall's name was Jerry Toots. And then he realized I spelled it wrong. It's Tuit, Tuite. Yeah, what an autocorrect on Toots. It wasn't Toot. We got a few questions coming in here now from some of our awesome listeners, those that are watching. Caveman Jones is the first one, so we're going to get this in. Caveman says, Arn, who would be a tag team that you and Tully should or would face today? Do you go Brock and CW?
I'm not a fan of family members being opponents.
Okay.
You know why? I just don't think people believe you're going to hurt your family member. And I know that sounds almost foreign, but I mean, I've seen the Steiners when they broke up. People didn't want to see that.
Right.
The Hardys.
The Jackson 5.
People didn't want to see it. The Jackson 5.
We just want our families to get along. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking.
They knew Michael was the star. He had heat with everybody at 5 years old.
That's because he was more talented than the rest of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so not them. So who would it be then? If you could lace them up and you get in that time machine and you get
FTR
that oiled up. Okay, FTR, man, what a dream match.
We could actually all do the same spots.
Just to each other, yeah. Use all the same moves.
I would know the counters. They would know the counters. Could be a good little match if you follow the story. I mean, think about it.
I do. I think it would be amazing. I would love to see it. Dax and Cash, shout out to them. All right, here we go. We have from 900 miles from normal. He just said, here's $5. That's all. He didn't even have a question, Arn. 900 miles from normal. Thank you for being 900 miles.
Hey, what a class act. Thank you.
I can imagine if he was 1,000 miles from normal, how much he'd give. But I am so appreciative for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
There you go. We'll hide that one. We'll go on to the next one. And that's right. He's back. The Instagram wrestling historian. He said, how would have Arn felt wrestling for 100,000 fans?
Oh gosh, probably the same way I felt wrestling in front of 10,000 or 20,000 or 60,000
So it's not,
in
you just, once you
Japan.
get in there, you do your thing.
Well, you get to a certain point. If your arena is closely fits 10,000 people, if it's a full house, it is every bit as exciting as I would imagine 100,000 would be, because the more you spread it out, the sound goes up. And that's the reason it's a little funky when you see these, big WrestleManias and they're open air and you got 75,000 people there. If you're sitting out in the crowd, there's a few second delay from what happens in the ring to the sound hitting you. It's a weird deal. So I don't know that it would just depend on 100,000 people. Is it a open air arena or is it a closed arena?
Dome, right.
Dome or whatever it may be.
All right, 900 miles from normal did have a question he hit send too quick, so we're going to get him to his question. He said, Arn, the 4 horsemen are down to you and Tully. Who do you prefer to add to the team, Elegante and Disco Inferno or the Mulkey brothers? The Mulkey brothers were like Casper the Friendly. I mean, those guys look like week-old milk.
They were tough son bitches.
I'll never forget when I brought them up to Tully when I did that one show at Tully, and he just laughed so loud at the mention of their name. He hadn't thought about them in years, and just sat there and laughed and laughed. He laughed so hard, I just started laughing. It was one of those moments. It was so good.
They could take a beating like nobody else.
They go ahead, and they did.
And they did every single time. I think they had one win down in Anderson, their home, on TV, which was huge, I would imagine. It ain't gonna be Elegante. It ain't gonna be Disco Inferno.
So it's the Mulkeys.
We got to give the Mulkeys a push.
They're horsemen. They are horsemen. Oh my God, I love this show. It's so good. Thank you. All right, so let me see here. Let me get on to the next starred question here, and that is from none other than Yambag Jones. Has Arn ever done the Das Wunderkids dance, and how much could I pay him on Cameo to make that happen?
Oh my. I think it might destroy my credibility for everything I'd try to do going forward. So it would have to have a lot of zeros on it.
But there's a price. Everybody's got a price, Arn, according to Ted.
Like I said, zeros. Make me an offer.
Oh my God.
And I'll have to have it up front.
Darren Staley, I'm a buyer. Oh God, this is getting funny.
See what you've started.
He's offering 50. I don't know about that.
No, zeros, guys, zeros.
Yambag said Glock Anderson popping those hips. Ah, wow. This is just something else. You got to love it. Let's go to a football question. Let's take the heat off of Arn here. Ryan Nodal says, Arn, football question. Since you're a Panthers fan, this was asked on ESPN. At what point as a fan will you grow impatient with Bryce Young as quarterback?
About the second game last year.
Second game last year. Oh, that's so good. So good. Oh, man. That was a beatdown with Derek Carr and the Saints on week 1, huh?
It's terrible. The fact of the matter is, everybody can't wrestle professionally. Everybody can't play baseball professionally. Everybody can't play football professionally. He doesn't have the talent or the size to be in the NFL. Why beat around the bush? Some people can do it, some can't. The heat should go on the owner for not realizing, hey, I'm going to trade this guy and get somebody. It may be a veteran, Had it have been the Minnesota quarterback that's now with the Falcons, somebody like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trade him. The owner's going to have to take a hit, but he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's going to sit here and just let the town just sour on that team, and that's not fair. They don't have a leader. They don't have a quarterback that can function. He's not qualified to be in the NFL. Now, there's no crime in that.
Great college quarterback, but it's different in the NFL.
Yep, he had his day, and somebody should have. I mean, the other guy that's playing for the Texans had a parallel.
CJ Stroud. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a parallel career in college, and there was that choice. Which one do you take? Well, look at what the one's doing, and look at what the other one's doing. It's terrible.
It's so funny. Yambag said, we'll trade you Deshaun Watson. I think Arn's good there too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yambag.
Just one time, this kid, the Panthers quarterback,
yeah,
when he takes 2 steps back and the pocket just crumbles and he just falls down. I just wish one time he would go to the sidelines and throw his helmet up against something.
Get mad about it. Yeah.
He just goes over and sits down with that stupid look on his face. Like, oh, well, guys, let's just have fun. It's all right. We'll get him.
Andrew, you're still talking college, my friend, about him winning the Heisman and beating Georgia in the title game. So there's that. Well, yeah.
Well, he peaked.
Nobody challenged in his college career. So
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great college players that never make it in the pros. He's one of them.
Yeah.
This time next year, it'll be the same story if they stick with him. He's 5'10". He's got average scrambling ability, if you want to even say average. He has any anticipation of the shit caving in on him. He's got to get out of there.
Arn's paying attention, guys. He's been watching this kid.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a Panthers fan. I live in Charlotte. I would love to go to the home games. I'm retired now. I can actually go to some games.
True.
Take Brock and Mama. Hell, I might sneak Smokey in there. Who knows?
I love it. I love you.
And it's just so bad. I hate it for the other teammates.
Tim Angston says, this episode was fantastic. Thanks, Arn and Paul. Tim, thank you. I want to thank all of you for being here. This was fantastic. I will say it again and again as long as I live. If this moving permanently to YouTube was just so that we could interact with a live audience every show, it has been so much fun doing this, Arn, with these fans here.
And it's for you folks. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you again. I'll tell you every week. Thank you very much for making us still relevant in 2024.
We, as we start to wrap up here, again, just want to hit it one more time. Check us out, onetruesport.com. That's where you're going to find the merch. Just Arn and I are both wearing merch right from that store. We have a lot more stores where we're adding and more talent to come. But Arn and the Four Horsemen stuff's there. I every other day I see a Four Horsemen order popping through right now. It's incredible. Arn, the brand still sells. It's still popular. Your merchandise, incredible. But so many other stars are there too. Tully, Brody, I talk about Bruiser Brody and what we're doing there. And you're going to see more soon with Wahoo. But Nikita's there. And I mentioned Tully already, but several others. Jake the Snake, Ted DiBiase, Sabu, Rob Van Dam. And the list goes on and on. Greg Gagne and others. We're really building something special over there. So check it out and make sure you grab something. And we're going to get some of that fall and winter style stuff up there soon. Appreciate all of your support, man. We have got them talking football like crazy now in the chat. I see it. I wanted to mention, I said it quickly earlier, Ultra Pro Wrestling from Hyper Focus Games. Guys, be on the lookout for it in 2025. Save your pennies. Pull them together now. You can follow them on Patreon, patreon.com/Ultra Pro Wrestling. They have exclusive content. That's where you're going to find about who the latest downloadable character is. Arn's on it, Magnum TA, Demolition, so many others. They just announced Das Wonder Kid and those swiveling hips. And so make sure you check it out. It's going to be available for all game, PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox, all that great stuff. Check it out, ultraprowrestling.com. And again, make sure you grab one of these if you're available and you see Arn. These comic books, man, we're really excited about the Arn comic as well. hoping to get those to the store. I'm about ready to go down to North Carolina and start twisting some arms until I can get the rest of the hard covers. But those will be on the store shortly. But Mr. Doodle, please say hello to my dog, Douglas E. Doodle. Are you a fan of doodles, poodles, and all that good stuff? I know you like Smokey. Arn, this gentleman keeps asking me in the chat.
I'm a dog person. Period. I love dogs. I don't dislike animals, but I'm just a dog person.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen, we thank you all. And James, I saw your note there, man. I'm so sorry to hear that news. And we appreciate and love all of you. And we never want to see anybody have to deal with some of the things that some of you are dealing with and going through. But we also want to be here to help and support as well. And we can't thank you enough for being here. I want to thank you all for tuning in on behalf of the Enforcer, Arn Anderson. This is Paul Bromwell. We'll see you next time in 2 weeks right here for Ask Arn Anything right here on Arn